So for those of you who don't know, Tailwind is basically just a scheduling tool for Pinterest, which allows you to automatically have pins pin out for you at different times of day so that you don't always have to be on the platform. It's been around for a long time and I've been using it for about 4 years now to schedule my Pinterest content to go out, and it has seriously helped with the growth of both my accounts that I use it with. However, over the last 4 years or so, Pinterest has changed a lot and the way its algorithm works has changed a lot, and so I wanted to kind of revisit whether Tailwind is still worth it in 2021 and why I'm still using it as my preferred Pinterest scheduling tool. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Anna. I am a designer and online educator at byrosanna.co.uk, and here on YouTube I share content to do with productivity, marketing, business, tech tutorials and all that good stuff. So if you like that kind of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up while you're there. So Tailwind is the Pinterest scheduling tool that I've been using for the last kind of 4 years now. I've tried other tools and I always come back to Tailwind. Even with Pinterest's big algorithm changes that have happened in the last 2 years or so, I still personally find Tailwind is the best platform, and I recommend it to all my course students too. I have an online course called Grow with Pinterest, which teaches you all about how to use Pinterest to grow your business, and that is the recommended scheduling tool that I suggest in there. But I do also go over some other alternative options because Tailwind is a piece of software that you do have to pay a monthly fee for. I will leave a link in the description below where you can find out more details about Tailwind and about their pricing as well, and how that might fit for you. Just be aware that link is an affiliate link, so I do get a small commission if you use that link, so thank you if you do sign up with that. So what does Tailwind actually do? First of all, it allows you to actually schedule pins to go out at lots of different times of day in case you're not able to be online on Pinterest all day long. This means that your account is kept active throughout the day and you have content going out at times when your target audience might be online wanting to see your content. So you can create a schedule that looks something like this. It does look a little bit complicated when you first have a look at Tailwind. I do find that it's not hugely user friendly when you are a total beginner, but they do have lots of help videos, and once you get used to it, it is a really powerful tool, and I do give a tutorial all about how I use it in my Grow with Pinterest online course as well. So it has a schedule where you can pre-plan all of your pins. It also has a feature called Smart Loop, which allows you to create a pin once and then have it pin out multiple times in a schedule that suits you. But I will come back to that because this was a massive draw. It was one of their most popular features and why a lot of people did get started with Tailwind in the beginning. But nowadays it's not necessarily a feature that I'd actually recommend you use a whole lot. So I'll touch back on that in a second. They also have a feature called Tailwind Communities, which was previously called Tailwind Tribes, in case you heard of it called that. And this basically acts like kind of group boards used to on Pinterest, where you can pin your own content in these groups of niche topics with lots of other people in. The people in that group will see your content and hopefully maybe repin it to their boards as well. Likewise, you can come into these communities and find content for you to reshare and repin to populate your boards. And I do talk about curated content and the kind of ratios of how many posts you should be posting that is of your own content versus how many pins you should be posting of other people's content. I do go into that in more detail in my course, which again, I'll leave the link to that below as well if you're interested. They've also recently released a new tool called Tailwind Create, which allows you to create lots of different graphics for your pins, because one of the strategies that is really important now on Pinterest today is creating lots of different pins and graphics and pieces of artwork for one link that you're linking to, for one article or for one product. You need to be creating lots of different pins per link, and Tailwind Create's tool does help you do that. I personally don't use it. I prefer to use Canva to create my designs. I feel I've got more control over them, and as a designer that's what I prefer, but you could definitely get some use out of this tool if you don't like the graphic design side of creating pins. So those are kind of the main things that Tailwind is about. There's obviously lots of other more detailed features which I won't go into, but as you probably noticed, there's a couple there that I mentioned that I don't even use, and yet I still use Tailwind and recommend it to people. So I want to talk about the kind of looping pins tool that I mentioned that I no longer use but used to be really, really popular. This is because what it does is just repins your content. So it's the same pin, it's just repinning it to go out at different times so that that pin is staying at the top of people's feeds. However, nowadays that doesn't really happen because the Pinterest algorithm doesn't prioritize old pins. So just repinning content and having it repinned to your account every now and then doesn't push that content to the top of people's feeds anymore. It's kind of useless, and it's only really recommended that you do that if you've got specific seasonal content or content that's really kind of time specific. So I wouldn't personally use the smart loop feature for anything else because it doesn't really have the same effect as it did. And another question I get asked is that Pinterest actually has a scheduling feature on their own kind of platform here. You can do publish at a later date and set up your own schedule for pins to go out, and that will allow you to add a title, choose your board, choose your links, add in all the graphics and give you some good control over that. I personally find that quite manual because you have to do each pin one by one, which is kind of annoying, whereas Tailwind really speeds up the process, and I'll show you how in just a second. And there's some other tools as well. Canva is actually one of them. So if we click into one of these pins here, what you can now do from Canva is either publish directly to Pinterest from Canva, or you can actually schedule it. And if you're paying for Canva's Pro plan, you can actually create your own social media schedules and have things scheduled to post out in the future right from within Canva as well. However, what you'll notice from within Canva is, again, you get this title, you get the description, you get the website, but that's kind of it. And again, you have to fill this out manually for each pin that you're pinning. Tailwind substantially speeds up this process. So if you are wanting to be a power user of Pinterest, as I kind of call it, someone who is pinning multiple times a day with lots of different content in order to grow your account, which is what I teach in my Grow with Pinterest course, then Tailwind is going to save you so much time. Yes, you can do it from within Pinterest or within Canva or one of these other scheduling tools, which allows you to do it one by one, but it's going to take you a lot longer. And if you want to save time, then Tailwind is a great option, and they do have really affordable plans as well, which at the end of the day is worth it if it's saving you loads and loads of time. So what does this look like and why is it different? I'm going to demonstrate to you how Tailwind works really, really easily. So I've got an article here, a blog post that has lots of images that I want to pin to Pinterest and send people back to this article. So what I've done is I've downloaded the Tailwind Publisher extension, which is a must-have if you have Tailwind. You download the extension, you click this, and it brings up all the images within the post. You can then click on all the images that you actually want to pin. I'm just going to select those two for now because they're the only kind of vertical oriented ones which tend to work better on Pinterest. And then what you can do is you can add these pins to not just one board, but multiple boards, which none of the other options let you do. You'd have to manually pin one pin per board and then upload the pin again and then add it to another board. Whereas here you can literally type in lots of different boards that you have on your account and it will pin to all of those. You also have the ability to add in a title and a description. You can click to change the link if you want to, but because we've done it from a web page using the extension, it's already got the link on it. And what's also really, really useful is they have this interval feature, which if we click use interval, this allows you to set the amount of time between each pin going out to the different boards that you've put in here. So if you only put in one board, then it's just going to pin out at the time that you set, or you can add it to your queue, and you won't have this interval feature. But once you add more boards that you want to have this pin posted to, then you can actually set the time difference between each of these pins going out so that you're not pinning too regularly. Maybe you don't want 3 of the same pins going out in one day. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. So you want to make sure you've got at least kind of 3 days in between each pin going out, and you can set that interval within here, which just gives you so much more control than those other options does. Another thing that saves a lot of time is you can create groups of boards. So instead of typing out all of the board names that I want to pin this pin to, I can just create a board list within Tailwind. In this case, I've just created one. It's called Cornwall, so this is relevant to my Cornwall pins. And I can click on that and it will add all of those boards to all of these pins, or I can get rid of these and just add it to one pin at a time by just selecting this Cornwall with the stars here, and it will add all of those boards here so I don't have to type them all out. Just another nice time-saving technique, but honestly the amount of time this saves you in being able to schedule one pin to go out to multiple boards all within the same space is so useful. Then once you're done, you just click schedule all and that is done. You also don't have to do it from a web page. You can just go into Tailwind, go to your publisher or your scheduling area and click on create new pin. And here you can upload photos from your computer. Let's just open this one as a draft. And then you can fill in all those details again from here, but without having to have a web address and that extension. If you prefer to do it that way, just remember to always change the link there because it will automatically just be your normal website. So I know that was quite in depth if you are a beginner, but hopefully if you've been using Tailwind for a while, or if you've been wondering whether Tailwind's actually still worth it, you can see why I'm still recommending it to people. It is just still the most powerful option on the market, and it allows you to just save a lot of time if you are pinning a lot of content on Pinterest at the moment. As I say, I will leave a link to Tailwind in the description and also a link to my Grow with Pinterest online course as well if you're interested in learning more about how to build your business with Pinterest. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week with another video.